The origin of all great human constructions always hides a creepy story. It happened with the pyramids of Egypt, the Eiffel Tower, and many other wonders of modern engineering, such as skyscrapers, stadiums, and even government buildings. Regardless of the country, wherever an architectural project is started, there is always the possibility that the workers will be buried beneath what they helped to build. However, despite the many examples that can be used to talk about this type of event, there is a disturbing construction that, since 1921, has not ceased to cause controversy and uproar. It is the Hoover Dam, the lair of a dark secret that, if you keep watching, we will reveal for you today. In 1930, after almost a decade of arduous efforts, the construction of one of the largest artificial structures the world would ever know was completed. It was the Hoover Dam, a unique project intended to control floods, supply irrigation water, and produce hydroelectric power for more than 1.3 million people in Arizona. The project was ambitious as it sought to take on nature itself. In the area of its construction, the spring thaw of the Rocky Mountains flooded farms, lands, and houses along the Colorado River, and someone had to stop it. So, in 1921, the construction of a gigantic project started, a project that would cost the lives of hundreds of people. Logically, building such a construction required thousands of hands. That's why $165 million were invested in the power plant and generators, in addition to a good amount of money for the labor force. A total of 5,000 men were hired to move, stack, and assemble the gigantic, perfectly compacted concrete blocks that would create the body of the dam. The work was slow and tiring. The wear and tear were enormous, especially because of the little technology they had at the time to perform such tasks. And this resulted in a large number of casualties, accidents, and disastrous endings. Working on the construction of the Hoover Dam meant exhaustive days full of dangers. Temperatures exceeded 48 degrees Celsius during the summer and were below freezing point during the winters. In addition, explosives were used to enlarge the canyon where the dam was located, and unstable machines often went out of control and dropped huge concrete blocks over the workers. Still, despite the harsh conditions, the 5,000 workers continued to show up for their less than 50 cents an hour shifts, enduring whatever it took to keep their jobs and finish a dam that took more than 9 years to be fully operational. Although it might be paradoxical, the work didn't have the best conditions, but was necessary. The number of family groups that were migrating to the city was increasing, life was difficult, money was hard to come by, and those who went to work for this project knew they would have a stable source of income for many years, although some ended up paying with their lives. According to figures recognized by the companies in charge, 96 people died during construction. However, this number only includes those who died on or near the construction site, but overlooks death due to heart problems, chronic diseases, hypertension, dehydration, respiratory problems, or any other cause that was not directly associated with the construction site. Of course, most of these cases were kept hidden for several years. Workers were forced to be silent about it if they wanted to keep their jobs. But after a long time, some claimed that several corpses were buried under the concrete blocks, especially those of lonely men without families who had gone to the dam in order to save some money to pay an unknown debt. Others claimed that the wear and tear of the work were able to weaken any man in a short time, and after 10 years of arduous labor, the employees soon developed chronic illnesses or permanent injuries caused by the strain and poor working conditions, which would greatly increase the total number of deaths. Nevertheless, by 1935, the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation counted more than 213 Hoover Dam-related deaths, a barbaric figure that shook society at the time and still stirs Arizona's most terrifying mysteries today. For many, the spirits of these former workers still lurk in the area. Wailing can be heard behind the concrete blocks, and the sounds of footsteps of those who perished trying to build this majestic work. Of course, many do not believe in these mysteries since nearly 7 million tourists go to the dam when they visit Arizona every year. But during the nights when the brave make camps in the nearby forests, hundreds have reported all kinds of paranormal activity that only fuels the bewilderment over the large number of deceased men who never found justice. One of the most emblematic cases of the Hoover Dam was starred by John Gregory Tierney, an Irishman whose family was used to working in mining and construction. His steps took him to Arizona with his wife and children, which implied a heavy financial burden that had to be met. That is why he joined the project, determined to obtain the necessary resources to feed his family, without knowing that his decision would mark a milestone in the history of the dam. On the afternoon of December 20th, 1921, a crew of workers was analyzing the location of the dam when they were caught in a sudden flood of the Colorado River. John Gregory Tierney was among the men. Little is known about the last minutes of this group's lives, but about 6 hours later, their bodies were found washed ashore at the end of the river. That tragic event went unnoticed by many, but the chilling part of this case occurred on the same December 20th, but 14 years later. By then, the Hoover Dam was practically completed and operational. Even so, some repairs and regular maintenance services were still needed. The workers generally dreaded December 20, many still remembering the death of John Gregory Tierney, so they tried to escape unscathed from that fateful day. There had always been some accidents at that time of the year, but what happened that day was something that changed the fame of this place forever. One of the workers suffered a fatal accident while repairing one of the water intake towers. His fall caused him to die instantly, painlessly. But everything became truly terrifying when it was revealed that the man was Patrick William Tierney, the only son of John Tierney. How is it possible that another member of the Tierney family died on the exact same date of his death? It was beyond statistics and beyond the realm of possibility. The locals were perplexed, and since then hundreds of reports began to arrive, which, over time, ended up in a large list of deceased people. Today, at the base of the dam, there is a plaque with the names of the father and son, as well as some others that point out the deaths that made possible such gigantic construction work in the last century. However, although everything seemed to be in the past, the legend of the Hoover Dam is still more alive than ever, and if one day you go to visit it, you better be very careful, especially if it's December 20. You never know when a deadly accident may occur. However, when it comes to accidents and mysteries, here we share the top 5 strangest discoveries that happened in famous constructions. Or if you are interested in discovering the most terrifying events that take place during the night, maybe you can check out the following videos.